I am 94 years old, and for most of my 70s and 80s, I had no peace. None. Not because anything terrible was happening, not because I was sick or broke or alone, but because I was doing 6 things every single day that were draining the life out of me so quietly, I couldn't even hear it happening, like a faucet you forget to fix. Drip by drip by drip, until one morning you wake up and the basin's overflowing, and you can't remember when it started. I am going to tell you what those 6 habits were, because I am almost certain you are doing at least 3 of them right now, and you don't even know it. If you are over 70 and you feel tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix, if you wake up anxious about nothing, if your days feel busy but somehow empty, this is for you. I am not here to motivate you. I am here to warn you, because nobody warned me, and I lost almost 15 years of peace I'll never get back. 15 years. Gone. Not to tragedy, to habits I thought were normal. I looked peaceful on the outside. I had a nice home. I had children who checked in. I had my health mostly. But inside I was a mess of resentment and worry and guilt that never stopped spinning. And the worst part was, I thought that was just what getting old felt like. I thought peace was something that belonged to younger people, to people with fewer memories. I was wrong. Number 1, keeping score of who calls you and who doesn't. I used to keep a mental ledger. Who called this week, who didn't, who visited at Christmas and who only sent a card, who remembered my birthday and who forgot. And I'd carry that ledger around in my chest like a stone. I'd sit at dinner with my sister and think, she didn't call me for 9 days last month. I was physically present and emotionally adding up debts. You know what that is? That is not love. That is surveillance. And it will eat you alive after 70 because you have more time to count and less patience for the numbers you get. Let the ledger go. People love you in rhythms you can't measure, and the moment you start measuring, you stop receiving. I know this because the week I stopped counting, my sister called me 3 times. She'd always been calling. I just couldn't feel it over the noise of my own scorekeeping. Number 2, replaying old arguments in your head, and here is what nobody tells you. This one gets worse with age, not better. I spent entire afternoons in my rocking chair replaying a fight I had with my husband in 1987. 1987. He said something about my cooking at a dinner party. It was careless, it was hurtful, and he apologized the next day. But I was still replaying it 40 years later, still hearing his voice, still composing the perfect response I never gave, still winning an argument with a man who'd been dead for 11 years. That is what unforgiveness does after 70. It doesn't burn hot anymore. It simmers, low and constant, like a pilot light you forgot was on, heating a room nobody's living in. If you are still arguing with ghosts, put them down. They can't hear you, but your peace can. But this next one might sting a little. Number 3, saying yes to things you desperately want to say no to. After I retired, I filled my days with obligations, church committees, charity drives, babysitting grandchildren every Tuesday and Thursday even when my hip was screaming, hosting Sunday dinners even when I wanted to read a book in silence. I said yes to everything because I was terrified that if I stopped being useful, I'd become invisible. That is the quiet fear of every woman over 70, that if we stop doing, we stop mattering. So I ran myself into the ground, not for joy, for fear, and I called it generosity because that sounded better than admitting I was afraid of being forgotten. Your peace requires protection, and sometimes protecting it means saying, I love you, but not this week. That is not selfish. That is survival. I'll tell you the moment I finally learned this. I was 78. I just agreed to host Easter dinner for 14 people 3 days after a doctor told me I needed to rest my heart. My daughter found me crying over a pot of soup at midnight. She took the wooden spoon out of my hand and said, Mom, who are you cooking for? Nobody asked you to do this. And she was right. Nobody had asked. I'd volunteered for my own exhaustion again. Number 4, watching the news like it is your job. I know, this sounds small, but it nearly ruined my last good decade. I used to watch the morning news, the afternoon news, the evening news, and then the recap at 10 doses of disaster every single day. And I'd go to bed wired, heart racing about wars I couldn't stop, policies I couldn't change, tragedies happening to strangers in cities I'd never visit. My body didn't know the difference between watching danger and being in danger. It just stayed afraid. After 70, your nervous system doesn't bounce back like it used to. You take in fear and it stays. It sits in your shoulders, in your jaw, and that tight feeling behind your ribs you can't explain. I cut the news down to 20 minutes a day, and within 2 weeks, I slept through the night for the first time in 3 years. That is not a coincidence. That is cause and effect. Stay with me. This one is important. Number 5. Comparing your life to how you thought it would look by now. When I was 25, I had a picture in my mind of what 75 would look like. A house full of family, a husband beside me, travel purpose, a garden. And when 75 actually arrived, it looked nothing like that picture. My husband was gone. The house was too big. The garden was weeds. And I spent 2 years mourning a life I never actually had. I was grieving a fantasy. That comparison will rob you of the life you actually have. The one right in front of you, with its quiet mornings and its imperfect beauty and its tea that is still warm in your hands. Stop measuring your reality against a dream you built when you were too young to know what life actually costs. This is your life. It is not the one you imagined, but it is the one that is real, and real is enough. I wasted 2 years comparing, and then one Tuesday morning I was sitting in my kitchen, and the sun came through the window and hit my teacup just right, and I thought, this is actually beautiful. This quiet little moment, and I almost missed it because I was too busy mourning what wasn't here. And the last one, number 6. This is the one that took the most from me, the habit of refusing to forgive yourself. I carried guilt into my 70s like luggage I'd packed decades ago and never opened. Guilt about the years I worked too much and missed my children's plays. Guilt about the affair I almost had when my marriage was at its worst. Guilt about the things I said to my mother before she died. Words I can't take back from a woman who can't hear my apology. And every night I'd lie in the dark and the guilt would come. Like clockwork. Right when the house got quiet. Right when there was nothing left to distract me. I tortured myself for years, and I called it accountability. But it wasn't accountability. Accountability changes behavior. What I was doing was punishment, and punishment without end is not justice. It is cruelty. You have done things you are not proud of. So have I. So has everyone who has ever been brave enough to live a real life instead of a careful one. But you have to put it down, not forget it, not pretend it didn't happen. Just decide that you've carried it long enough. Because the peace you are looking for, it is not hiding in the future. It is buried under all the things you refuse to release. I forgave myself on a Wednesday afternoon. I don't know why it was that day. I was 89. I was sitting in this chair, and I just said it out loud to the empty room. You did your best, and your best wasn't always good enough, and that is okay. Nobody heard me say it. Nobody clapped. The room didn't change. But something inside my chest unlocked. Something that had been clenched for 20 years just let go. I want you to hear me clearly. I didn't find peace by adding things to my life. I found it by stopping the scorekeeping, stopping the replaying, stopping the people-pleasing, stopping the fear-watching, stopping the comparing, and stopping the self-punishment. 6 habits, that is all. 6 quiet thieves that move through my days disguised as normal. And the moment I named them, they started losing their power. It didn't happen overnight. I still catch myself counting calls some weeks. I still hear that dinner party argument in my sleep sometimes. But now I notice it, and noticing is where freedom begins. You deserve peace, not the kind you earn, not the kind someone gives you, the kind you protect by choosing what you stop carrying. If something I said today felt familiar, if you recognized yourself in any of these 6 habits, please share this with a friend, or a sister, or anyone over 70 who seems tired in a way that doesn't make sense. Tell me in the comments which one you are letting go of first. I'd love to know I am not the only one who carried these for too long. And if you know someone who needs this, don't just think about sending it. Send it right now, before you forget, before the day takes over. Some messages can't wait. You've earned the right to rest, not when everything is perfect, right now, exactly as things are. Thank you for sitting with me today. Now go be gentle with yourself. You've been hard on yourself long enough.